This week on Not Another Movie Podcast, The Rock explains his Black Adam connection.
The Twitter stratosphere, I guess, explodes with Wonder Woman preview screening reviews.
And if you're a fan of Step Brothers, we've got some bad news for you.
Will Smith's dead. Oh wait, it's Will Ferrell.
Should I go again?
No, that's perfect.
Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Shaun Pierce.
And I am Will Ferrell.
And Will Ferrell?
Yeah, well, Sean Kelly, I stuffed it up again. Sean Kelly.
I just want to, quick on a side note, welcome a new listener to the fray. My sister has finally given a listen to the podcast, only nearly 40 episodes in. And she said, oh, it was good, but you talk too much. I'm like, oh, that's great, thank you.
So that's a 100% boost in our viewership? No, oh my god, I'm terrible with words. Our listenership.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a backhanded compliment. Well,
she's grown up with you. She probably gets enough of your voice.
Yeah, trust me, that would have killed her to give me a compliment. So,
that's nice.
Compliment or backhanded compliment, I will definitely take it.
I'll take it. Any physical contact, any connection with family members, please let me have it. Yep.
All right, so let's kick on with the movie news this week. We got our first real look at Guy Ritchie's take on King Arthur, and when it was first announced, I wasn't that thrilled. I'm like, oh no, not another period piece that no one really wants. But the trailer looks pretty damn cool.
It looks friggin' badass. I cannot wait for this movie. People are poo-pooing it already. People are like, it'll be kind of crap, but I'll see it anyway. No, it's going to be awesome, and you're going to see it twice.
It's going to look awesome. I think it's Guy Ritchie back to his Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrel days with the way he's filmed this and the way the editing looks. I hope it does have that edge because these films in the last couple of years haven't really worked that well at the box office and haven't been well received. So they really do need to be told in a different way. Kind of like what the Knight's Tale was with Heath Ledger, where you had that Knight's film and then you had all this rock and roll music over the top of it. If you can give something different, people might come and see it.
And you just got to commit to your style, which I think is what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I think he's strayed away from his style, his original style, his UK style when he was, this up-and-coming filmmaker, and he got a bit Americanized, I would say. So I'm hoping that he does go back to his roots on this one. Yeah,
look, to be honest, I don't think much of Charlie Hunnam, who plays King Arthur, but Jude Law as like the evil king.
Yeah,
that is going to be awesome. Jude Law is very, very watchable, and I'd love to see him. I'm getting like Joaquin Phoenix Gladiator vibes, and I'm okay with this.
Look, Charlie Hunnam was pretty piss poor in Pacific Rim, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But he was fantastic in Sons of Anarchy. If you haven't seen that show, put that on your to-watch list because he is actually very, very good in that.
The show itself is 50-50. Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah. So I'm bloody excited about this film. I cannot wait. I like a good sword and sorcery, and this looks like pretty fresh take.
Well, we were both excited for this, and now I'm even more excited for this next film. The first reviews for Logan came out this weekend, and already it sits on a 96% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with 65 fresh and 3 rotten. Those 3 rotten, what the fuck are they really looking at?
Sons of bitches. They probably liked Wolverine.
Yeah, probably. They're like, yeah, Deadpool not talking, that was fantastic. That was our favourite part of the movie.
This is good. I feel like the last 2 Wolverine movies were like penance to make up for what this film looks like it's going to be.
Well, personally, I hated the last 2 films.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I was so tempted to walk out of the last one, but I'm like, you know what? I've paid my cash. I'm sitting here till the end, goddammit.
Hugh Jackman is watching me, touching himself. I can't just walk out of here. It'll just embarrass him. I'm just going to have to sit here, through it.
So I'm actually glad to hear that, the film is as cool and as good as what the trailers look.
You know what I think the trick is? Just don't go for the biggest, jam as much money down the throat of the film as you can. Get a sensible amount of money, give it to a good filmmaker, and this is the kind of film that you get.
Well, the reviews are pretty much saying that one of the most best part of this film is the R-rated element of it. So, we're finally getting to see what we really want to see from Wolverine, and that's some fucking slice and dice.
And from Professor X, which is dropping some swear bombs. So that's what I've always wanted. Yeah. Well, I think he says fuck in it. Yeah, he says fucking.
Oh, that's good. That's a nice change.
It's exciting.
So it comes out here in Australia on Thursday. And unfortunately, I won't be able to see it straight away, but I will be getting it as soon as possible.
I'll see it twice for you.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. We've spoken about Twitter reactions before, and the Twitter reactions, basically, the studios go and have a screening of certain films. They give the audience a score sheet, and then basically the audience write their scores, and blah, blah, blah. Then they go back in editing and fix anything that audience didn't like. Well, apparently there was a screening of Wonder Woman over the last week, and the Twitter buzz has been set alight, saying, it's redeeming for the last two films in the DC universe.
Yeah, some of them are saying that. Some of them aren't as sold.
But this is the weird part, because no one who's actually seen it has gone on Twitter to talk about it. There's all these Twitter posts from, I've heard of someone who was at the screening saying it was good, or the buzz around this film is good. I haven't seen it, or know someone who's seen it, but the buzz is good. I'm just like, seriously, they gotta fucking put a restriction on these Twitter things, because now it's just, I heard from a friend of a friend who said the movie's good.
I was going to say, because the people who saw it obviously signed an NDA, so they've had to tell people what they thought. Soon the next NDA is going to be like, your friends can't say anything either, and we're just going to have this expanding circle of people who can't talk about this film.
Yeah. It's like one of them reads, "This means nothing, but I spoke to someone who saw the Wonder Woman and they were blown away." That was one. I like what I'm hearing about last night's screening. All these people are just getting their information off Twitter from people who haven't seen it. So it's just incredible that it's even generating any news at all.
Yeah, and you know what's worse? This is just us reporting on unconfirmed reports of the film.
That's right.
Yeah, we're part of the problem.
I just thought it was more ironic than actually saying that the movie is any good on our part. So I just like the irony of it. Everyone's saying it's awesome, but no one's actually seen it. So well done, Twitter. Well done. There
is a post on Reddit. This bloke apparently was one of the people who saw the film.
Oh, really?
And is talking about it. Yeah. So if you want to go through more detail, and there are spoilers, you can you can check that out. So the good news is that he says it wasn't rushed and that they took a little bit more time with it. So that's positive.
Well, it doesn't come out till June, so we've still got a good couple months before the finished product is delivered, and hopefully any negative thoughts of the film will be rectified in those coming months. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm excited. I'm going to keep up the excitement for this film. I want it to be good, so I'm going to invest in it. All right, well, another character that is joining the DCEU is The Rock's Black Adam. Now, we've spoken about this earlier. Is he going to be a villain? Is he going to be an anti-hero in this mythology? And basically, The Rock came out and said this week that in the mythology, yes, he is a villain, but, he could be considered an anti-villain as well. They're going to go and tell the backstory about a man who's been held down, and he rises up out of the greater good to try and deal with the difficult pain and loss of losing his family. He's saying it is quite dark. And I'm thinking, oh no, not another fucking dark take on a superhero.
It works for Black Adam. Black Adam should be dark.
Exactly. So, I would have been disappointed if that was the story of Shazam. But you're right, if that is the right take on Black Adam's character.
Well, the last we heard of this, they were going to make two films. They were going to make his origin film and then move into the Shazam film after that, which I think could work really well. It's basically, an Anakin-style fall, but in one film.
Yeah. So, that is going to be, by the sounds of it, pretty damn cool, I hope.
I'll tell you what, if they do Black Adam right, he will be more popular than Batman. I'm telling you right now. Think of a person with basically the power set of Superman, but who's as badass as Batman. Like, think about a Batman with Superman powers.
I think you're just talking crazy talk now.
No, I'm telling you right now. If they do this film right, Black Adam will be launched into the stratosphere, and he'll be up there. He'll be on the Mount Rushmore of comic characters because he is that cool, and we haven't seen something like him in the movies before.
All right, well, that is a pretty massive call.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, and if it doesn't pan out, just forget that you heard it here first.
I've already forgotten I said it.
I still want to have some credibility with this podcast.
If they do it right, that's the proviso.
There were two pieces of sad news this week. Well, for me in particular, I was a massive fan of the Will Ferrell film Step Brothers. I remember seeing it at the cinema at a relatively peak time with no one else in the cinema. So I don't think it did very well when it was released, but I think it got a lot of legs once it got released onto streaming platforms and DVD and everything else. Have you seen it?
No, but I've basically seen it because the kids that I teach basically quote it all the time.
Yes. I think it is very dick and fart humour.
Not that I'm against that, I just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, there's a scene where John C. Reilly puts his balls on Will Ferrell's drum kit. Or I think it's the other way. I can't remember which one played drums. But
somebody's balls get on somebody else's drums.
There is a set of testicles on a set of drums. So that's the kind of humour that is in this film. I remember watching it one time while I was still living at home, and my mother walking in, and she was just in pure disgust in what I was watching. She goes, "How could you even find this remotely funny?" And that just made me enjoy it even more, to be honest.
Exactly right. You rebel.
Yes.
Speaking of mums, is Mary Steenburgen in it much?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit. But unfortunately, he's come out and said that there is no Step Brothers Part 2.
Which
never going to happen.
Will Ferrell?
Yeah, Will Ferrell. Well, he wrote it.
Okay.
So, yeah, there is not going to be another Step Brothers, unfortunately.
Hearts breaking around the world.
Which is kind of strange considering he went out and made Anchorman Part 2, which was horrendous, and
maybe that's why
Part 2, which is even worse, apparently.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And the funny quote to come out of it was, he said, I think we personally feel great about what happened with Anchorman 2. I think there are actually some people who like it more than the original.
Idiots.
And I'm like, I think it's just you in the cast, really, who thought that was better than the original, because it was a pile of shit.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wasn't really a fan of the original, were you?
Oh, yeah. It came out when I was at uni, and it became the film for, a couple of months. It was just quote after quote. Basically, instead of connecting with people, we just spent the time quoting that movie to each other, so we didn't have to actually build any real connections. I've got to say, when I first met my charming wife before we were married, one of the things that made me take notice was the fact that she said that she liked Anchorman. And so on our first date, I bought her the Anchorman film.
Yeah.
And do you remember the pseudo sequel they had to the Anchorman movie?
No.
They made like a pseudo sequel that was basically cutouts of the first film jammed together to make a new movie.
Okay.
It was like Anchorman 1.5. Very bad. It almost destroyed our relationship before it happened. Luckily, we survived through it, and we've lasted this long. But yeah, sequels to that movie were always fraught with danger.
Okay, interesting. No, I didn't realize that there was a kind of like a spin-off take of it, or the leftovers take of the film.
Yeah, basically. So you learn something new, but you didn't need that information because don't watch it. It's bad.
Yes. Well, another piece of bad news for if you're a fan of these movies, especially. Guillermo del Toro has come out and said that basically Hellboy 3 is dead.
Yeah.
I imagine you were a fan of Hellboy?
Yeah, I was a fan. I mean, yeah, they were great.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really catch the bug for Hellboy. I love the look of him, but the movie itself didn't really do much for me.
I think that. They weren't the most amazing films ever, but they were the only Hellboy films we had, and they did a pretty good job.
Well, I know it had a massive following, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed by this. And I'm surprised that, with all the shit sequels that get greenlit, that this one wasn't one of them.
Ron Perlman's too old, surely.
Yeah, but he's covered with so much makeup, you can't tell it's him anyway.
Yeah, but you've got to be it'll be tough. You've got to work hours on end in that shit. No, I could never see it happening. I'd love for them to make an animated film. I think that would be amazing. Ron Perlman could just come in and do the voice then, And you could get really, I mean, because the comics are so iconic, the visual language there, they could adapt that much more cleanly in an animated film, I think.
So if the makers came up to you and said, "Sean, we want you to pile on makeup and be in Hellboy or in Hellboy 3," you're like, "No, not interested."
I'll play Abe Sapien. That's what I'll do.
Not Hellboy.
Nah, not Hellboy.
No.
No. I'm more of a bookish smart type.
With all the shit jobs that you've offered to do so far on this podcast, you won't take the lead in a big motion picture.
Nah, I've got to draw the line somewhere.
Okay.
Working with like one of the greatest directors, filmmakers. Nah, I'm good.
Not interested?
Nah. Just put another 0 on that check.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's Mad Max money you wanted, wasn't it?
Exactly right, exactly right. Well, it'll just be 3 zeros instead of 2 zeros. That's a shame.
All right, well, this week James Cameron has come out and spoken about he's going to re-release Terminator 2 in 3D. And they've talked about the painstaking challenge of restoring it with 4K resolution and then obviously turning it into 3D. Now, I'm actually really excited to see because I'd actually love to go back and watch that at the movies. That was a movie that I went and saw, I think I was 10, and blew me away, and it changed special effects, in my opinion.
Whoa, you were 10 and you would see this movie? What were your parents doing? Wasn't this rated M?
Well, I watched Terminator 1 as well during that time.
I'm starting to piece together why you are as you are.
Came out in 91. I was born in 81, so it would have been 10.
Yeah, that makes sense. I obviously missed it because my parents, paid attention to what I was doing.
my dad actually took me to the cinema to watch it.
Oh, really? That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so...
good on you, Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, so it's a memory that I have. It was at High Point Shopping Centre too. That's how fondly I remember it. But if James Cameron, is overseeing this, then the 3D is going to be pretty awesome in this film.
Oh, yeah. That must have been a pain in the ass to do, to take a 2D film and make it three-dimensional. I can't even wrap my head around how that's possible.
Yeah. And he also came out and spoke about the Terminator project that he wants to do once he gets the rights back in 2019. And he basically says that he wants to make it fresh. And he says, how do we make it new and innovating for the 21st century as the first Terminator films did in, 25, 30 years ago. So, I'm rapt that he's already thinking about it. He's got so much time to plan his film and work out what he's going to do with it. So, I really can't wait.
You want to hear my pitch?
Sure.
All right. So, what's his face? John Connor's a little bit older. He's not quite up to the normal, the age that we see him in the future. He's a little bit older. He's living off the grid. A Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator gets sent back to protect him, and another bad Terminator gets sent back to kill him. But this time, it's a female one that can control other machines.
Yeah, but we've had the female Terminator before, and that was horrible.
Well, I just described the plot of that film, and it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah. So.
They need
again. You might want to do that Hellboy role.
It's the only thing anyone's going to give me.
Yeah, I think so.
I get a little bit worried, I've got to say, when they're like, how do we make it fresh? Like, are they just going to have him connected to the internet or something? Like, it does that... I don't know. It makes me worried they're going to try and make it too hip.
Yeah, but they kind of did the whole internet thing with the last one, and that was horrible too, so...
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, so, but as I said, if James Cameron has got his mind on it, then I'm pretty sure he'll deliver the goods.
Actually, with the Predator film coming out as well, we need the crossover.
Yeah.
The Aliens, Predator, and Terminator crossover. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. Again, maybe just stick to the Hellboy role.
All right, cool.
All right, well, James McAvoy has come out and said, or he's kind of hinted at possibly that they'll be shooting a new X-Men movie in the summer this year. And it's pretty... I don't know, it's pretty strange considering nothing has been released and, the summer period in the US is only, 3 or 4 months away.
Well, maybe his role in it isn't too big?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, there's all these talks of the X-Men TV show being developed, and then obviously there was always the story that's going to happen in the 90s with possibly the Dark Phoenix.
That this is going to annoy you because apparently that is the story for this new film.
Yeah, but it's the story, the X-Men story, that has to be told properly.
Exactly right. So why are they rushing into this? We don't care about Sophie Turner's Jean Grey. I like Sophie. Oh, look, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but she's had one film to really make an impression, and it was a bad film.
Yeah.
If you want to do Dark Phoenix Saga, which is awesome, go for it. It can't be right off the bat. This is DC mistake right here. You can't just jump into the deep end. You have to build up a scenario where we actually care about these characters. They did it better in the original trilogy when James Masters, you really felt for him when Famke Janssen, when she actually started to go evil in the third one. I mean, it wasn't a great film, but I cared about that relationship and I cared about her. Well, it's not working for this series. If you want to do Dark Phoenix, wait. They've got to go to space anyways. It frustrates me. Like, if you have a look at the blurb for it, it says blah 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 blah. The classic thing: Charles Xavier has gathered them together to protect a world that fears and hates them. Yeah, okay, we've heard that before. The X-Men have fought many battles, been on adventures that spanned galaxies, grappled enemies of limitless might. Show us those stories. Don't just have that as a prologue and then go into this. Show us the stories where they become a team. Gosh, this makes me frustrated.
We can tell.
Yeah, sorry. Continue on.
It's getting quite awkward now.
I'm going to write a very angry letter to James McAvoy.
Things just got a little weird.
Moving on.
You done?
Yep. Yeah. Although I will say, if they came to me and asked me to play Dark Phoenix, I would do it. I will say, I'll put that out there.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're putting it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not a whore at all.
No.
Well, there was some good news coming out of the Disney World this week. James Earl Jones is reprising his role as Mufasa in the Lion King remake, and not newcomer, but Donald Glover is going to be voicing Simba in Jon Favreau's Lion King. That would be pretty awesome.
As you are, Dad.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, that's really good casting. Obviously, James Earl Jones could do anything he wants to, but it's cool that he's coming back for Mufasa. But I think Donald Glover is a really good choice.
Do you think JTT is a little bit sad?
Yeah, probably. Look, honestly, depends which Simba it was. I mean, Matthew Broderick was the older Simba, so maybe Donald Glover will be... You wouldn't think he'd be the child Simba. So you'd think maybe he would be the Matthew Broderick aged Simba in this film. Yeah,
it could be. They'll get a little kid. I could see him playing both, to be honest. But he'll probably be the older one. Maybe Matthew Broderick's feeling a little bit peeved.
Maybe they'll just kick him in the nuts every time they need to record the child Simba part.
And twist a little bit.
So I reckon it's really good. As I said, they're really pushing hard on this one. Once Beauty and the Beast comes out and it makes $1 billion, they'll just be more excited to get this one out there. So
I finally got around to seeing The Jungle Book, and it made me super excited to see this movie.
Yeah, it's very, very cool and very good. If you haven't seen it, put that on your to-watch list. Now, last week, we're going to follow up on a story we spoke about last week, and I'm kind of thinking that we had something to do with that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
The guy who played Rufio in the Hook film from the 90s started a Kickstarter campaign to have a prequel made. He needed $30,000 and he got that and more. After we spoke about it, the more cash came through. Coincidence? I don't.
I know we have a lot of loyal fans. They aren't sending any money this way, so they must be sending money out to projects.
They must have been sending it to Rufio.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a good cause.
News. I think they said it's up to like 38,000 and they're hoping for 200. I'm like, well, settle down. That's a bit of a jump.
That's what I thought as well. I'm like, just chill, guys. You can't just go from 30 to 200.
Maybe you could push for 50, but fuck 200. Settle down, boys.
Just give us $1 million. My question is, how can they possibly make this film? I'm thinking about it because surely Rufio is trademarked by friggin' Warner Brothers or whatever it was.
Yeah. Who knows, mate? Who knows? Well, there was a revelations that have come out in the last couple of weeks about your fondness for the Gilmore Girls and Felicity. So
I'm not embarrassed by this. I'm just going to put that out there.
there's a story that you might relate to this week, and you might be just disappointed about, but there is going to be no Golden Girls reboot anytime in the near future.
Of course, there's not. B. Arthur's dead.
Yeah, but they've been pushing for a reboot for so long. After a semi-hit called Hot in Cleveland, which showed a lot of women in their 40s and 50s dealing with single life. You know, there was always that push to have that older generation again. But the creator has come out and said, you know, the Golden Girls was the Golden Girls because of the actresses that played them. It would just be nothing without those four leads, and it's true. Like I remember watching it when I was younger, and yeah, those four stole the show.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The show was them.
Well, it was called the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
That's who they were.
Yeah.
But it's still a very good show.
Every time I think of the Golden Girls, I think of this stupid movie that came out in the 90s called Airheads. It's about these three guys who take over a radio station, and one of their demands was nude photos of B. Arthur. And there's a scene where Adam Sandler is flicking through these Polaroids of B. Arthur, and Judd Nelson walks past and he goes, "Is that B. Arthur? Outstanding." So, unfortunately, every time I think about the Golden Girls, I always think about that stupid scene with
so funny.
part of their contract. Oh, part of their demands was nude photos of B. Arthur. And I'm always thinking, who had to put that phone call to B. Arthur and ask them, "Look, we've got a hostage situation, and they're asking for nude photos of you. You mind just snapping off a few Polaroids?"
Oh, they wouldn't need to. They're all around the place. We know what she was like.
Yeah,
that's
quite
rough.
funny. Though. She was awesome.
Oh yeah, she was a champion.
I love that manly growl that she had. Her voice was something else. I love B. Arthur. But as I said, the whole cast was fabulous in that show.
Yeah. It was like they struck gold. It was which
no pun intended.
No pun intended. But they really did. It was pretty good. And again, it's a kind of show that if you watch it 10 years after watching it the first time, it works on such a different level once again because it's just very clever writing. Yeah, good job, guys.
All right, well, this week it is Oscar week, so we're going to speak about the main four categories and give our thoughts on who will win and who should have won, in our opinions. So we'll go through the Best Picture. Now, I think there's 9 films this year. We've got Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. I've seen all of them except for Fences. Now, I personally think La La Land will win. I'm guessing you're the same.
I completely agree. Well deserved too.
But I personally don't think La La Land should win Best Picture.
And that's where you're wrong.
What
was better than La La Land?
Oh, I can give you 3 examples that were better than La La Land if you want.
All right, go for it.
I'll start with Arrival at my number 3. That movie was fantastic. Hidden Figures, which was just as good. And I personally think that the little Australian film Lion should win the Best Picture category.
Can you imagine?
Out of all the films that I watched, that was the one I probably enjoyed the most. I think that was the best film of the year in that category.
Wow. That's high praise.
I will give a little mini review later after this segment, but I'm guessing you're going to stick with La La Land on this one.
Oh yeah, I guarantee that's going to win. Arrival was fantastic. I really felt that, but La La Land just.
Yeah, but do you think that should win?
Yes.
I know you think it's going to win, but should it win?
In all sincerity, I don't think it will win. No, I think
Hollywood has got a massive hard-on for this film.
It does, but because everyone's talking about that, they're going to, they don't want to play to type too much. I don't think it'll go to Arrival.
No, definitely not go to Arrival.
I could see this year being, I think, maybe Hidden Figures. It's not going to go to Hacksaw Ridge.
Well, this is the I might bring up, like, in the last couple of years, we've had, such high debate that so many white cast-led films and so many white actors are whitewashing the Oscars. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and rectify that this year and kind of make a statement.
Yeah. Well, remember the year that Denzel won for Training Day?
Yeah. And
Um,
Halle Berry won the same year as well.
yeah, and it's the same year that they put Sidney Poitier in the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
And look, I'm not saying that there is collusion, but I'm just saying that they shouldn't just jam it all into one year, because I don't think that Denzel should have won for Training Day that year.
No, neither do I.
Halle Berry, I can't remember what was she? What did she do?
Yeah, Monsters Ball.
Yeah, okay. But what was that? What else was out that year? There was something else.
I
can't remember. That I thought that I was really wanting to win Best Actor, and then it didn't happen. So I'm maybe a little bit sad for that. But yeah, it might be another one of those years where they're like, well, we've got some great films, talent with some African American actors. Let's just jam all the awards into these ones, and then we can just go back to what we're doing beforehand. No, Hollywood, that's not how it works. You just give it to the best people, and you give non-white actors more of a chance. Are you listening, Hollywood people?
Yeah, they're listening.
Good.
All right, Best Director. Let me just bring it. Directing. We've got Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. For some reasons, they don't have the director's name, so I apologize about that.
I can tell you those. That's all right.
But for me, out of that list, I would have to say Hacksaw Ridge, to be honest.
Ooh, he's not going to. Surely it won't happen though. They don't
won't
happen that much. Yeah,
but yeah, I think Hacksaw Ridge. I would like to see Hacksaw Ridge win that film, just because of the film itself is fantastic. You've got this beautiful story, but you've also got this horrible violence that we see that was the war, and to pull something like that off and stir emotions, even now, so long after the event. Credit has to be paid due there, in my opinion.
You don't think Arrival, Denis Villeneuve?
Yeah, yes and no. I still think, as I said, I've seen all of those films, and for me, it's Hacksaw Ridge.
Well, look, we'll go with that. I know. I've got to be
That's who I
for
want
La
to
La
win.
Land.
La La Land is going to win.
It was pretty well directed, even if you thought the story was a bit light on. The direction was pretty amazing.
Yeah, but Hollywood's just in love about this film because it involves Hollywood.
But it's more than that. I agree. But it is more than that. There's things going on in this film. Some of those shots, some of the even the color palette are things that people haven't seen done in a while.
If Hacksaw Ridge was shot in the Hollywood Hills, they probably win Best Actor. If the Hollywood sign was in the background, best
just
picture,
a one shot for no
best
reason.
Picture, best director, all of it.
Yeah.
So as I said, I think Hollywood just loves itself so much that they'll just give everything to anyone who mentions it in their films.
Look, we'll see. If it does win for Best Director, I think Damien Chazelle has earned it, because I think the direction of that film is pretty amazing. And when they do their clips at the Oscars, you'll see, again, some of the amazing stuff that they did. I would love it if Denis Villeneuve won for Arrival as well, because I just think it was great storytelling. But yeah, Hacksaw Ridge, pretty visceral.
See, for me, I enjoyed his first film, Whiplash, a lot better than I did La La Land. So, as much as that got Oscar buzz, it didn't pull it off in the end.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to Best Actor now. And we have Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea, Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling for La La Land, Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington for Fences. Now,
Is it going to be the Affleck?
I have seen 3 of the 5 performances, and I dare say Casey Affleck will win this category.
Controversial. I'd love it if he did, so that he can actually look his brother in the eye.
Yeah,
because I just think so much living in the shadow for that poor boy.
Yeah, I suppose, and I think the emotional levels that he had to get to in that film was probably enough to get him over the line in this one. Out of those 5, even Ryan Gosling, who knows if he's going to take it out? I don't think it was that much of a stretch
No, he just played himself.
Which
is very charming.
I don't think his singing was much chopped, to be honest.
No.
And even his dancing, he was looking at his feet for most of the time, which is a big no-no for dancers. So
I think he really falls in that category of it's just an honor to be nominated for this film. And I love the Rygos, but yeah.
Well, you never know. Denzel might be a sneaky chance if our theory is right for this year's Oscars.
He's getting the buzz, and from all I've seen of that film, he looks really good.
Yeah. So who knows? There could be a surprise coming out of this one.
Yeah.
All right. So best actress in a leading role.
Viola Davis.
She's not even nominated.
For Best Actress? Oh, but she's Best Supporting, of course, yeah. Sorry.
She's Best Actress in a Leading
She will
role.
win that, I guarantee.
Isabelle Huppert for Ally. Ruth Negga for Loving. I haven't heard of those two films. Natalie Portman for Jackie. Emma Stone for La La Land. And Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins. Now, it's funny because you've got 4 films there that haven't really been mentioned in any of the big categories.
You know why? Because Hollywood keeping women down. They're obviously fantastic character pieces, but they don't get a wide release.
I'm actually stumped that none of the 3 leads from Hidden Figures is in this category, because all 3 of them were outstanding.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even notice that none of them were nominated initially. But for me, again, Emma Stone will probably win this, and yeah, that's the only performance that I've seen, actually.
I don't think, again, I mean, she was great. She's so watchable, but I don't think this film really stretched her too much.
No, as I said, I don't think it stretched either of them.
I've heard really good things about Natalie Portman in Jackie. I've heard the film isn't great, but she is great in it. So that might squeak through.
She could be a sneaky chance.
Yeah, if there's one thing that Americans like more than Hollywood, or at least as much, it is the Kennedy. So she could squeak in there. And I don't think she's won one either, has she?
No.
No.
It'll be funny that Queen Amidala, that we spoke about so badly in 2 podcasts ago, could actually win an Oscar. So.
It wasn't her fault. She's okay. Except for Garden State. Garden State was partly her fault. But Star Wars, I don't blame her for.
Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if she pulls this one off. But for me, Emma Stone. It was funny, the guys who do the Honest Trailers this week put out a Oscar version.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they spoke about La La Land, and it was nominated for Best Costume Design, and they're like, why? They're just wearing clothes. They're all wearing street clothes. How is that nominated for Best Costume Design?
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're absolutely right. Usually you think costume design, you're thinking maybe period pieces, but no, this was modern Hollywood. They're just wearing normal clothes.
There was that one scene where she had spilled coffee on herself, so they had to dye the shirt with coffee. Yep. That's something.
That's a good effort. Cold coffee.
Yep.
No dramas.
Yeah.
Spill it on the shirt. All done.
Yeah.
I suppose,
mean, they look great.
Ryan Gosling did have his own style because he loved that whole jazz element, and that you can kind of see in what he was wearing. But I don't know where they pulled that one out of.
Yeah. Oh, look, I agree. It's just a little bit silly.
Yeah. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens Monday afternoon, whether they do go the racial route, how many actors and actresses are going to go up there and talk about Donald Trump and the administration at the moment. That's something to look out for as well. And of course you get all the soppy tears. Oh, I just want to thank my mother and thank God and everyone else. I'm like, get over yourself. You're an actress. Relax.
You know what? People, and look, myself included, kind of rag on the Oscars, but I get kind of excited in Oscar season.
I remember when I was younger, I used to smash anyone in the face who dared tell me who won during that day, because I'd be recording it, I'd be watching it when I get home. I used to stay off the TV, stay off the radio until I got home and watched it. But now I'm just like watching the live feed on my phone. I couldn't care less, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm very interested because, I like to see the films and see, who actually pins in it. But I'm not as obsessed as I used to be.
I think it's a... I think as you get older, you find other priorities. But I'm still keen.
Yeah, no, I'm still very interested too.
Yeah.
All right, well, quickly, I watched the film Lion this week, and it's about a young boy who gets lost in India, and he ends up in an orphanage and adopted by an Australian couple. As he gets older, he then uses Google Maps to try and retrace his steps to see where he came from, and possibly to be reunited with his birth mother. Now, this film, as I said, I think this film is probably the better of the lot that we spoke about for so many different reasons. If you have a dry eye at the end of this film, you're absolutely heartless.
This is why I could not watch this movie.
And it's even worse now that you have your own kids. To think that your
Yes.
child who was 4, nearly 5 years old, gets put on a train accidentally and is driven 1,600 kilometers away from your home village. And this is a third world country where kids roam the streets and no one bats an eyelid. And he couldn't speak the language of the place where he ended up, and he was basically just lost in the system.
And it's a true story.
It is a true story, and that's the even worse part. And you're like, how did this poor boy survive on the streets on his own, a 4-year-old? My son is 6 now, and I can't imagine, as a 4-year-old, he complains when there's no Wi-Fi at restaurants, so let alone having to fend for himself on the streets. So you kind of put yourself and your children in that position, and what he was able to overcome, and the power of the internet, the power of Google Maps. He was able to retrace his steps and find the village that he came from, and eventually reunited with his mother, and it's a fantastic story.
I'm glad you told me what happens, because it makes maybe going to watch this film a little bit more palatable. Because watching the trailers, I'm like,
there's no spoilers. I mean, there was 60 Minutes articles and everything else written about how he was reunited with his mother, so I don't think I spoiled it for anyone.
Oh, no. Yeah, I hadn't read those, but I'm glad. Fantastic. Yeah, you've actually, I realized even though I had no plans to see this movie, the fact that you told me how it ends now, because I hadn't read those articles, just actually makes me happy.
Yeah. Look, it is a bit dragged out, I think, in the middle. It's a bit too puffy. I think it could have been shortened a lot, maybe 20, 30 minutes. But the overall product itself is fantastic. And to think that this film has come out of Australia and it's made, I think, over $100 million so far worldwide, it's a massive hit for Australian industry.
How's Nick Kid?
Well, she isn't in it that much because she plays the Australian woman who adopts the young boy. But the scenes that she's fantastic. She goes to an emotional level that you would never want to go to as a parent. So it's very, very good.
Well, I'm glad. That's good. I hope we see a bit of buzz at the Oscars then.
Yeah, so do I. I think it should be getting a lot more buzz than what I think it is getting. And that's the same as Hidden Figures as well. I'm quite surprised that isn't generating more buzz over there than what it probably should, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's incredibly frustrating.
Yes.
But yeah, particularly as you say, for at least lead actor or something like that, if they were as good as you suggest.
Yeah, it's got me stumped how either of the 3 leads weren't nominated.
Yeah.
But then again, that doesn't surprise me with the whitewashing of the Oscars of late.
Oh well, maybe we'll get a few in this year, and then they can fix their shit for next year. Listening, Hollywood.
Correct. All right, well, that wraps up episode 4 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week until